Everybody, welcome to Manifestation Mondays. I am Cheryl Campbell, and we're here with my good friend Marian Edvardson. And if you've been part of our audience for a little while, you know that we pick a quote every week and we just discuss it. So today, Marian picked a quote from Rumi. The quieter you become, the more you are able to hear. Wow, Marian, I love that one. That is a powerful quote. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm in my quiet mode. I think if this past year or year and 2 months, that we've been just through about the most challenging time that we've been through, is it's been a message to just tune out all the noise,
Mhm.
including the social media and the news, which has been crazy. It can make you crazy, but I love my quiet time.
Yeah.
I turn off the TV. I like the silence, and it just allows you um, to think.
You know, I have been finding that to be so truthful so much recently. And, I hate to say this, but I've never been one for social media. I actually have to almost force myself to go on and do social media. Part of it because I feel like people aren't really authentic, and so that bothers me a little bit. It's like, the way you portray yourself all the time is, always the best foot forward and everything. And we're not like that. We all have our little difficulties and everything. But being quiet lately, it, I've been doing that. I've been sitting with myself a lot. And I can, think of so many examples. Even a couple of weeks ago when I celebrated my birthday, we went tech free for the weekend. So, except for checking my phone every once in a while to make sure I wasn't missing, like my parents or anything like that with important phone calls, kept the phone off all weekend, didn't start the computer. It was wonderful. And it was actually a weekend filled with revelations. It is. It's amazing.
That's what the quiet can do. There
Yeah.
was someone posted on Facebook. It was a picture of the old dial phones,
Mhm.
and the caption was something like, "Well, at that time, no one ever said, 'I can't find my phone.'"
Isn't that the truth?
So that phone just sat there. We
Mm.
didn't carry it with us. We didn't
Mhm.
have this immediacy of everything that we do. And we just had time to be quiet.
Yeah.
It was simpler. I love going back to that simple life in so many ways right now.
Mhm.
Enjoying a meal together.
Yeah.
The weather's getting nice, so just sitting on the deck and just listening to the birds.
Oh, I gotta just share with you this little new habit. I've been getting up in the morning and walking early morning before work for a while, but maybe about 8 or 9 weeks ago, Al, my husband, for those that you don't know Al, um, we started walking before he goes to work. So we pile Andy into the car and we go downtown. And downtown, as you know, for me, there's the beautiful shoreline. And we started walking. We actually get up a little before 5 to get this done. And at 5:30, we pile in the car, me and Andy in one, Alan his work truck. We go downtown, park by the shore, and we walk down to this, it's called East Wharf. Andy gets to go swimming because there's nobody around. So the restrictions, where dogs aren't allowed doesn't really apply. We watch the sunrise. The birds are, chatting to one another. And it is just what a wonderful way to start your day. I love it. And again, it's kind of ties into that Rumi thing because we get to be still. I mean, we just sit there or stand there. And even though, we walk to get to the beach, when we're at the beach, we actually don't talk. We just look and just look. We stand there in the silence, tossing Andy sticks so he can go swim and get them. But it's just a wonderful way to start your day. It's almost like starting your day with meditation, just that stillness. It's lovely.
And that's a great daily ritual to have,
Mhm.
is to start that day. We've talked, often about gratitude and,
Mhm.
waking up to a gratitude practice.
Mhm.
And that's, in silence usually. We haven't gotten up out of our beds yet.
Mhm.
But all we do is think about what we're grateful for,
Mhm.
before we let all that other noise start to enter our lives.
Right. I know that we have some business people on this call too. So, can I share something with you that I discovered about being quiet for business? And this was a new discovery. But I get inspired to do this different stuff. I'm a very creative person. Sometimes that gets in my way because I'm always creating new ideas and I don't always necessarily like to follow through because I like to do the creative aspect of it. But often I get stuck in the actually getting it done, you know? And I get very, I don't know what the right word is, frenetic, I think is the word, where I feel all, like tense and everything. And because I just get all angsty about it. So I do go into a little bit of a silent mode and I just kind of sit on it for a little bit and kind of let it gestate. But a couple of weeks ago, when I had mentioned that, I wanted to do this little PDF for everybody that was the unlocking your potential. And I swear to God, Marion, I got so stuck on it that I literally walked away. It was a gorgeous day, and I love to mow our lawn. It takes me about 90 minutes behind this big, huge mower. And it's a walk behind, so it's also exercise. And I usually listen to a podcast or I listen to a lecture or something that I'm interested in learning. And I was so stuck with what I was working on, and it just was not coming to me, that I got up and I said, forget it. I'm just going outside. I'm going to mow my lawn. And I walked away from it. And for some reason that day, I decided not to put on my podcast or whatever. And actually, I had also had a great conversation with somebody I was working with. And I said, let me just reflect on that conversation as I'm mowing. And it was the funniest thing because within 5 minutes, I get the shit out. Can I say that? The silly grin on my face because I'm just so happy outside when I'm in nature. So I get the silly grin on my face and I'm just mowing along, literally mowing and walking. And maybe 10 minutes goes by and I'm just in stillness. Then another 10 minutes goes by, and all of these ideas just popped into my mind that gave me total clarity on what I needed to do.
Right.
And of course, the process is a lot more difficult now because it's more of a big long program instead of just a little PDF. But I think it's going to be a lot more beneficial. So it was amazing. So I since that happened, that experience, I'm trying to be very aware of it and very conscious of it. So whenever I've been getting stuck on something, I just get up and I walk away and I go sit. I sit outside, I just look at the sky, I look at the clouds. It sounds so silly to most probably, but boy, it just really, you sit in silence and answers seem to just come. I mean, I'm finding it amazing. Is that your experience when you sit back and you contemplate on things, that you just things come more naturally? It's like you're more in the flow of things.
I think that's why I picked that quote, because we
It's
could
just
talk about that for so long.
perfect. It's just perfect.
Yeah, and also, when you get quiet, and some people don't journal. A journaling practice is writing in quiet,
Yeah.
and sometimes you get writer's block and you can't write down stuff.
Yeah.
But just to sit in quiet, um, you really are dropping down into your heart,
Yeah.
and your heart knows the answers.
Yeah.
If you're trying to make a decision, just kind of drop into your heart and say, how do I really feel about that?
Mhm.
And when you feel that, if you feel yourself tense up, just listen to your body,
Mhm.
and it gives you the right answer.
Right. And you know what's interesting? If you don't have something to write about and you listen to yourself and the fact that you're tensing up, you can even just write that down. That I'm having a little bit of a difficult time getting into the journaling today. For some reason, I'm tensing up. and then maybe ask a question like, it's my intention to figure this out, or maybe I can have a little insight into why this is it. But I got to tell you this because we've known each other for maybe a little more than 10 years now, and
But
since like 2010, I think. Yeah. And you told me about journaling years ago, and you always recommended it to me, and I got to tell you, I always resisted it. I didn't like the idea. What do you mean I got to do that daily? And that's one of the things that I finally put into place for me that absolutely was incredible with again, where I started getting into the flow of things. Things started changing for me when I started putting into place these things I had been resisting for so long. And journaling was it was one of the main ones. Yeah.
and
Do you
even
journal?
asking the question, why am I resisting that? I remember you used to say, because you're such an online person,
I,
you know.
I am.
And I would mention journaling, and the power of writing down. Like, one of my basic premises of my coaching philosophy is
Mhm,
write it down, break it down, so you're creating, you expand on whatever that is, that idea, that intention,
mhm,
and then live it up,
mhm,
or live it.
mhm,
And you would say, well, I just type it into my computer. But there's a physicalness, a kinesthetic
right,
connection from that pen to your brain.
right,
When you actually write that down, it's a different commitment than just kind of throwing it all up on the computer.
right. And what's funny though is that sometimes when I get like a little flash of inspiration on something and I don't have my journal near me, what I will use technology, though I will. What I do is I grab my phone and I leave myself a voice memo,
Right.
and I just talk into it, and I'm like, "Ooh, I just had a thought about this," and da 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 da, and I just spit it out. And um, if I feel it's one that's really important that I may forget about, I set a date as a reminder, and then it'll pop up and I'll reflect on it and I'll write it in my journal, but so I kind of do a mix of, I am kind of a geek with the technology, have been since, early 80s, mid 80s or whatever. Um, but yeah, so I kind of combine the two, but I agree with you. When you actually physically write something down, it has a different connection, the way that it just kind of
Sticks with you.
sticks with you. Yeah, sticks with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
good.
do you just, I know that we probably have been on for our little 10 or 15 minutes that we're trying to keep it to, but I do have one last question for you. Do you consider journaling as part of your meditation or just part of your reflection for the day? Because there's reflective meditation, and so
Right.
if you sit quietly and you reflect on something and then you journal about it, it kind of, to me, feels like it is part of your reflective meditation. And I ask about it because I'm actually writing about this this morning before we got on, because it's going into the program about journaling and meditation and everything and the effect it can have on you. Do you feel like it's
It's actually, to me, that would be two steps. So the silence and the meditation
come first or come second?
come first, because that's what opens up your mind, opens up your heart, and then from that flows maybe the ideas that you then want to write down,
Hmm.
so that you don't lose track of them.
Right.
Or, like you said, pick up your phone and talk that out,
Hmm.
because you don't want to forget that thought.
Right. See, a lot of times when I do my actual journaling, I do it very early in the morning or I do it very late at night. And so if I'm doing it early in the morning, I'm just thinking about highlights of my day before. And if I'm doing it at night, of course, then, it's a little bit clearer, or I journal about what my intentions are for the next day. It's like, I really want to do this because, or I felt this way today because, and sometimes you do get blocked. And when you do, I just write about whatever, it's like, "Oh, I looked out the window today and saw a beautiful bird," but, this really happened the other day. We have this beautiful bird feeder, and then we had this bird that, he had no fur on his head, no feathers. He was in some kind of fight. So it's like every time I see him at the window, I'm like, "You're gonna be okay, baby, just eat," And sending him blessings of healing and everything, and Al's laughing at me. He's like, "Oh, Cheryl," but I'm like, "He's hurt. He needs healing." And he's still, coming back every day and he's getting better. But it's funny. But so yeah, the bird was in my journal because that day I had nothing that I can think about to write about. But it's consistency. I want it to become very consistent in my journaling. So if are you consistent?
Not always. I'll be honest.
Mhm.
I'll be
It's
honest.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to be consistent
Certain
every
things I
day.
am. My gratitude practice when I wake up, the energy work that I do. You and I
Mhm.
both do some of
Yeah,
that, Donna Eden.
yeah.
That's
Every morning.
before the feet go on the floor.
Yep, me too. And
Um,
I really do my gratitude throughout the day. I
oh,
mean, I
sure.
and I don't write it down. I used to write it down because I needed to make it a habit, but once it became a habit, the gratitude really just became part of I feel like it's part of who I am. I mean, I
Yeah.
just look at something and I find the thought going, "Oh, wow, beautiful clouds. I'm so grateful for that," in the back of my head. But,
Well, well, it's part of that morning ritual. Who is it? Hal Elrod, is that who that is? Wrote
mm,
the Miracle Morning.
I'm not familiar with that.
So it's having that practice,
Mhm.
and that is one thing that's setting an intention.
Right.
And with my birthday coming up, I'm wondering if I might go out to my community or our community and just for we've said that, what is it, 31 days to, or 21 days to really establish a habit, but really it's like 60 days.
It's 60 days. It is. It's actually like 66. I don't know how the science came up with that number. But yeah, that's very true. For years, everybody said 21 days to break or make a habit, and it's just not true. It's 21 days, though, when you hit distance, which is really interesting
Right.
because that 21 days was still in the new science. It's 21 days you start hitting resistance, and that's when you put obstacles in your way to break that, break what you're trying to create, or go back to an old one. And so they did discover that it's 66 days that it takes to get to the point where then it's more, say it's a good habit you're trying to form, it's harder not to do it than to do it. So it's
Right.
like my morning walk. If I wake up on a morning that I don't feel like doing it, it's I really no, I'm gonna go, and I go. So yeah, 66 days. That's
Well,
interesting.
you and I met um studying a lot about neuroscience through John
Yeah,
Assaraf.
yeah,
And so we know that whole neuroplasticity, and
yes.
creating new neural connections.
Mhm.
It does take longer than the typical, like you said, 21 days.
Yeah, yeah. Still fascinated with the neuroscience of everything. I
Oh,
just
yeah.
am. It's just fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
But we have
Yeah.
been chatting for a while, so maybe we can continue this conversation another time. It is a good one, but definitely, I think it's a great idea to encourage everybody to take that quote to heart and be still with yourself and your thoughts. And maybe another day we could talk about those thoughts, though, because a lot of times when people are still, they have negative thoughts. And when they have those negative thoughts, they don't know how to get out of them. And you need to look at your negative thoughts and where they're stemming from. But it is really important to get out of the negative when you fall into that kind of mentation. So maybe we can talk about that one week too.
Yeah. About reframing. And
Reframing is perfect way to say it.
yeah. But in the meantime, let's set an intention. And, for people who are listening to us have this little conversation,
Mhm.
is to start a practice of maybe writing down, whether it's 5 or 10 things every single day, just what I'm grateful for. And they
Mhm.
could be the same 10 things, but get into that practice
Definitely.
and you'll feel a different level of energy in your life.
Mhm.
And then when you find that quiet time, that's where the miracles happen and
And
where the answers come.
come from. And I'm grinning over here a little bit because I I don't often like talking about our business and everything. I like these conversations just to flow. But I've got to tell you, you just hit on a point that if you don't mind, I would just like to share a little bit of information about that new program that I'm offering the people that are watching free of charge. But it has that in it. It's a kind of a guided tour of different things that you can do. And I created journal pages that they can just print out, and it has parts in it for reflection and for gratitude. And that's part of the daily task that people are, going to be asked to do. But so if you don't mind, I'm just going to say that if anybody is interested in that, please visit my Facebook page, Cheryl T. Campbell, and it's there for you. And there's a code so you can get the program for free. But we think alike, Marion.
I
We
know, and
think
that's
alike.
something I'm working on too, is a little
Hmm.
journal
Hmm.
that you can either, I'm thinking of doing it through Lulu
Hmm.
so that you can just order it print on demand,
Oh,
or
nice.
you print out the PDF.
Hmm. Yeah, this one is more. This one is actually designed as almost a course through a
Yeah,
membership site. So, um, but this stuff is so important. And when you do that, I won't say if you do that. When you do that, I'll be one of the first ones to order from you. It would be nice to have a physical. I have not taken. I print this off of my printer, but to have a nice physical journal in front of me would be lovely too. I would like that a lot.
yeah.
But so anyway, I've already give everybody my Facebook page. Marion, you want to share yours with everybody so they know where to go and
Sure. My message and my mission has always been to step into happy, just step into that love, that gratitude. So just on Facebook, just search for Step Into Happy.
there you go.
Yeah.
And so we're going to sign off. And until we meet again, many blessing to you and yours.
Yes.
All right. See you next time.
Yes.
Bye bye.
Bye.